This one was submitted by Zach Konarska, at Zach Konarska on Twitter. And Zach, one of our better looking, if I may say so, sir, one of our better looking listeners of this podcast. Thank you very much for sending in a video question that we just saw off of our phone. But you asked a great question, Zach. You basically said, how do you evaluate companies when you only know a piece? For example, YouTube, it's part of Google. Does that mean you should invest in Google? Or, hey, there was this Star Wars movie we all saw. How big is that? Should I buy Disney stock for that reason? So a really good question. I'm not doing justice to how well you asked it. But here's the way I think about that. First of all, it's enough to know that a product is keyed to a company. Many people don't realize that. Many people have not been raised to think, when I see a great product, that is offered by a company, and I could become a part owner through the stock market of that company. I wish everybody quickly went through that 3 steps of thinking, but many people don't even think about what the company is that offers this interesting product you or I are enjoying. So just having that sense of continuity is a major gain for a lot of us just from the get-go. Then the next thing you want to do, once you realize, wow, the Star Wars movie, that's Disney now because they bought LucasArts, you do want to figure out roughly what percentage of the overall company would the revenues from that product reflect. And for Star Wars, it's just a movie. Disney is a gigantic company. Now, Disney does take a property like Star Wars and run it through everything from theme parks to lunchboxes, so it's not just a movie, not nearly for Disney. And that's kind of a unique situation, but for each of these companies, you want to ask, so maybe you've been to Pizzeria Locale. There are only a few of them nationwide, but you find out it's owned by Chipotle. It's run by Chipotle. But it's a tiny percentage overall of Chipotle's numbers. And the way you figure that out is any combination of going online, if you're a serious and investment-minded, reading the 10K, which is public disclosure. You can find it on the internet for any public company, and you can read and see the revenue mix. What portion of what portion of Exxon is natural gas versus oil? These are fact-finding questions you can use the 10K for. You can also just ask around, and often these days, some pretty good business journalism breaks down businesses and gives us some simple numbers and helps us realize, how much of Monster is just the Monster beverage. So these are all, I'm not going to throw the lmgtfy.com at you because it's not often that easy, but you're asking the right question, and I hope I helped you toward a better answer, which is understanding the percentage of revenues, then beyond just what percentage of overall sales that product is, especially if it's a new product, you're really asking, how big could it become? So rather than look backwards at something that may not have even existed last year, ask yourself, how significant could this new product or service be? How big is YouTube starting to charge? Is it YouTube Red starting to create almost a competing service to Netflix using the YouTube platform? How big is that for Google? I don't have an answer for you, by the way, but those are the right kinds of questions. That was just an example. So thank you, Zach.
As always, people on this program may have interest in the stocks they talk about, and the Motley Fool may have formal recommendations for or against. So don't buy or sell stocks based solely on what you hear. Learn more about rule breaker investing at rbi.fool.com.